Hello guys, welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So today is going to be the video about what I read in July, but I'm excited about August and I want to talk about a journal mood which starts today on the 1st. Now if you do see this video after the 1st, that's okay, you can jump in at any time. I did a previous video of where I talked about this, but if you missed it, the calendar is on my Instagram. My Instagram is the same name as this, Comfy Cozy Up, and I think pretty much all my social media that I'm on has the same name, and you can get on there. There's a calendar for a word prompt for each day, and the goal is to use these words to motivate you to write your journal. You can use whatever method of journaling that you do, affirmation, reflection, planning, whatever method that you use, but this word is the words each day is your motivation. That's the word you're going to focus on when you're writing in your journal. And how we make it a group and a fun thing is we take either a picture of us writing our journal or we record us writing our journal in our Insta story. And you do not have to share what you write. If you do, that's okay. It's a safe space. I've never had anybody had a bad experience or share what they write in their journal. But if you don't want to, that's okay too, because typically I don't share what I write because I do take my journal as a release, and sometimes certain things I don't necessarily want the world to see, at the moment. So it's however you want to approach it. Now again, if you're just seeing this and it's late, doesn't matter, jump in whatever time you see this video, because it's going to be the entire month of August. So in that, let's talk about what I read in July. July was a interesting month. I call it the big book month because I read some big books, and I'm glad I got them off my TBR. I do have a few more big books, for the rest of the year, but 5 was really good, especially for the length of some of these books. Now, there are different genres, classic, romance, African, folktale, folklore, that kind of deal. There is a YA in the mix and a contemporary family drama. So I had a lot going on with this. So the first one is the only books I don't have in physical form, and that is this is book I read on my Kindle, and it is from Kennedy Ryan. And what I love about this book is it's a romance that is centered around the Harlem Renaissance. So it's not historical, but it is a young girl who is an undertaker on Broadway. So she never really get to be on the spotlight. She had a great opportunity, and she was discovered by a director who wanted to cast her for a movie that he is doing based on a fictional character from the Harlem Renaissance. So what the author did is she combined various actresses and singers and performers from that era and put into this character. So there are bits and pieces of the character that you will, if you are familiar with the Harlem Renaissance, that you wouldn't notice it. You would notice that's where that came from, or that's where that came from, that kind of deal. So for me, because I love the Harlem Renaissance, I'm obsessed with the Harlem Renaissance, that it was fun when I'm discovering things I didn't know at the time. There's certain dancing instructor and people around that time that weren't treated well, and how their dance move became famous when a white Hollywood person picked it up. And I thought that was interesting, so I actually Googled it, and it was true. He did get his shine. The particular character that she explained, the real life character that she explained, did get his shine many years later, which I never knew about that storyline. So I thought that was interesting and very much like, oh, I'm learning something when I'm reading romance. The romance in this was beautiful, but it also was a little bit heartbreaking because the female character was dealing with an illness that I did not know a lot about, and I like that the author gives you a lot of detail and information about that particular illness in a way that it's informative and you want to look it up. So if you haven't seen my vlog, check it out. All that's on there. So then I decided to pick up this YA book because I love the author, and I find that she is the kind of author that writes YA books in a way that you can benefit from it as an adult, because it touches on subjects that kind of give you this thought process of, wow, let me think about it in a sense of being an adult versus like, even though the characters in there are teenager. And that is Instruction for Dancing. And I really like this because it gives that whole idea of live in a moment, live for the now, and don't focus so much on tomorrow that you let so many things pass you by because you're just focusing on tomorrow. And in this, it has that nostalgic 80s feel. So if you used to watch 80s movie back in the days, there are certain things in this that would, there's a certain movie that popped in my head immediately. And so what it is a young girl who was given a gift, like by accident, of where she can foresee how a couple fell in love and when that love is gone, that kind of deal. And so just imagine every time she see a couple kiss, she is seeing how they fell in love and then seeing how that love was gone, vanished, whether it is in a positive way or a negative way. She sees that. So she has a fear of love, a fear of putting her heart out there, especially from her broken family life where her father cheated on her mother and left, and essentially going to marry the woman he cheated with. And so she has that feel that love is not forever. Love is only going to hurt you. Love is never going to be a positive thing in her life. And in this book, she experienced what love is, but it comes at a cost because of the gift she has. I loved it. I love the ending. I love how she took it there at the end, and I love how it makes me think even as an adult reading a YA book. And this is the kind of YA book I feel like worth reading because it makes sense and it gives you that adult thought process going on in this versus thinking, oh God, it's a YA, this is stupid, that kind of deal sometimes when you read some of those YA. And Nicola Young is known to really write good YA that an adult can enjoy, and this was one of those. I was surprised. I really thought it was gonna be whatever. I just took I was doing the auto buy because I just love her, but I'm glad it turned out to be good. Now the next book is another auto buy because Taylor Jenkins Reid, Malibu Rising, shot the hell out of me with this one, because I thought this was going to be like that feel-good summer read. And it turned out to be more on the historical fiction side in terms of the time period starting from the 50s to like the 90s. And it is a multi-generation where you are following a family and the things that happen from generation to generation. So now the last generation in this is preparing for this epic party, something that they do every year in Malibu. And through this, you are getting back in time, back into the time of her parents, how they got together, and it's focused more on the older daughter at the later generation and her siblings, and how her father and her mother relationship and how it affected them as an adult. And you get that understanding as well, because when I started reading this, I was very irritated because of how the mother handled a father who was not a good father. He wasn't a good father. He wasn't a good husband. And then I had to think about the time period. I had to think about what a lot of women back then had to put up with and chose to put up with because of what society expected them to do. We had offenses. If you ever saw Fences, either read the book or you saw the movie or the Broadway, and that Viola moment with that baby, yeah, that moment came up in this book, and I just remember it's like I was too mad. And I was just like, I was mad in the movie theater. I think it's a movie theater. I did see it with my mother. I was mad then, and then I was mad in this book, and then I just had to remember the time period. I like how it talks about parenting in a way that shows you how much a parent can really damage you. And even though you think it doesn't, because you don't see it at first, over time you see the difference. You see how you become your parents in ways that you tried your damn not to be, and it happened in this book. This book is heavy, but it also is realistic in some ways, but it also gives you the whole rags to riches kind of deal as well. You know, the famous father who's a musician out there, the kids that are not known, or the kids that are known but never taken care of, but the world think of them as, oh, your father, the famous singer, your father who's wealthy, your father is this, but you don't have that kind of memory of your father, or that experience with your father that the world has, that kind of deal. So it do makes you think of some of these famous singers and Hollywood people, kids, and what kind of life are they really living that we don't know of. But I like how she understood, even though someone is your parent and you might forgive them, doesn't mean that you are going to allow them in and out your life and break your heart, or damage a part of you that you can't get back. And I related to that a lot in this book. There's that ending that I felt in my core, and I was just like, yeah, Taylor Jenkins Reid, yeah, not everybody's gonna enjoy this. Not everybody's gonna understand the psychological effect of family and parenting, but this book was, for me, yeah, it stirred emotions. So yeah. Then, my favorite book of the month, Nicholas Nickleby by Charles Dickens. If you want to read a Dickens that is much easier to read, the story is going to be epic. It's going to not have a boring moment because this is always something going on. This is the book. Secrets in this, the suspense, the aha moment, the what the heck, that happened in this. Writing style, well done. This edition was well done. You're really not going to have a problem reading this book, understanding it, and get into the world of these characters. The Nicklebys is a messy family. Messy family in terms of, you have a father who died, left the family with nothing, left his wife and his two kids, Nicholas Nickleby and his sister Kate. And they had to succumb to this vicious uncle who was more concerned with money, and also had other things that you as you read the book, you realize why he felt this way against the family. And he separate them, but put them in like harmful situation. Have Nicholas in the school where he's like a teacher, more so tutoring, that kind of deal. And he's seen all these young boys who are mistreated and abused. And this is another thing where Dickens show you back then how these children were not protected. There was no law to protect these children. So they're there, and he couldn't take it. And there was an incident where he had to fight back, and he ran away with one of the little boys from the school. Now he is trying to figure out how to navigate through life with no money, no support system, because he's not with his mother and his sister, and his mother and sister can't really do anything. They were women. They're not in a position to help him, and he had to learn how to fetch for himself and how to get out of the mess he was in, and how to make money so that he can support himself as well as his mother and sister. While he's doing that, then you have his sister who is dealing with things that women had to deal with, the whole idea of keeping your virtue, your respect, and not be in a position where someone might get the wrong impression of you, and then you can't get married, you can't be in a certain life, because that's what you were expected of as a woman. It's not like you could you're gonna get your education, get your job, and work. That's not what this is. We're talking about the 1800s here. And a mother who is not, well, Dickens likes to call agreeable delusion. Yeah. And she is not the most positive person to really take advice from, because she's just bad. She was a mess. That's the best way I could put it. And so there's a series of events, and it's like once everything seems okay, here comes the uncle with his messy self and doing things. There was moments of the matter of the heart where Nicholas saw someone that he fell for, and it's just like, yeah, uncle in the mix, messing up. The uncle did so much in this that you wanted that moment when he's gonna get him. Like Dick is gonna get him. He's gonna write a good thing. And when it did happen, it was like, I freaking screamed, because I was like, what? Never saw that coming. Never imagined that's what the storyline was gonna go. And it really made me realize Dickens, he's an ish. Dickens can write a story. Dickens can write a story that either going to piss you off or you're going to be clapping. I was clapping because I felt like this is one of his best books. And I've read now 6. And this is up there as far as storytelling, character building, the world building in this. You can imagine what's going on. You can imagine the time period. You can imagine all the things that's happening, and you are rooting for some of the characters. And then there are all these side characters that comes in this, and you're just enjoying the mess that they're coming with or the good that they're coming with. And there's another particular character I love, because when he popped up, he was shaking the tables when he popped up. I love it. I was like, what? I want to read this with Dee Dee. We laughed. This was so entertaining. I definitely recommend this. I highly recommend that you read this Dickens. This is a good one. Nicholas Nickleby. Thumbs all the way up. One of my favorite books this year. Then the most complicated book that I've read in a long time. The Old Drift. If you DNF this book, I understand, because this is a book that you have to push through to finish, because it is complicated. At times, the metaphor is a lot to get into, that especially as a moment towards the end, I literally had to read it not once, 3 times, just to get a grasp of why certain things was happening. But this was a book club pick from Dee Dee for summer, and I wanted to read it because it just seemed like, okay, it's out of my element, and I'm gonna motivate and push myself to get into this book. Now, this book is motivated by an event that happened that affected 3 families of different background, and how these 3 families' life occurred and things that were happening. It seemed like there was a series of unfortunate events that's happening to them. And so you get in it's like three generations in this, and their stories are going. So it felt like short story in a novel form, because each character gets several pages, like, for them alone. You have there's, magical realism in terms of the hair, the skin, the sight, and there is a lot of sexual things that's happening in this. There's take on marriages in this, and affairs, and then there's that connection that all 3 families have. Now, I was all in it. My favorite at the time, I think before I really started, was Martha. And this is a character that I felt kind of set herself for failure because she did something that was intended to benefit her, but then she ended up having a series of events that was just bad and affected her children. So it's that kind of situation. Now, towards the end, the last generation was focusing on certain things that I don't want to mention because, you know, YouTube might flag this video because it's related to now. Yeah. And so it became so complicated and annoying in a way that it lost the momentum for me in the book. It lost some of what I was enjoying in the book. And I get it. I get the metaphor of it. I get the whole twist and how it connects to even the beginning of the book. I get all of that, but just how it was delivered to me, it was just like, what the heck? Like, I literally struggled to get through the last 70 something pages. You know, reading a book that is damn near 600 pages. It is, what we got? Alright, so it's 560, 63 pages. And to 70 something, and I'm struggling to get past that. That should tell you that I didn't really enjoy the end of this book as much. The end of the book just didn't do it for me. But if you up for a challenge, and you are that kind of person that love books that are this kind of writing style, this kind of twist of generational magical realism, that kind of deal, you might really enjoy this and want to try it. But I just know not everybody is going to get through this book. I powered through this book, and if this wasn't selected for a read along, I probably would have never read it. Just to be honest with you. So for me, it's just I have mixed feelings on this book. There's certain parts of the book where I was like, yes, I enjoy. I couldn't wait to turn the pages because I want to know what's gonna go on next. And then there's just certain parts of the book that was painful. And the beginning too was a bit painful because it took me a minute to get into the book from the beginning. But it's yeah. And Dee Dee's gonna have a whole discussion on her channel. So if you read this or you're interested in this, I would say watch her review of this, her discussion she's gonna have, and I think the author might be there too. And again, the metaphors in this book that people are gonna dig into and get. I just didn't like the delivery as much for the metaphor, and it's important. Don't get me wrong. I do feel when I did finally get it, I was like, oh, that was actually deep. But it's just the delivery of it just wasn't my cup of tea. So that's it, guys. Woo! What a month. So anyway, that is all I'm going to do, and I am going to. I'm trying to do more vlogs in August, because since I didn't do that much. But yeah, I am going to be doing a lot of that, and read some regular books and some Booker Prize book that I do have. I have about 3. And we're gonna get into that. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a good day.